Just as a quick update before this, in the latest patch, they changed the word race to tribe, so whenever I'm talking about a race, I do mean the word tribe in-game. Since Deepwoken's Layer 2, we've been blessed up here and there from the developers with substantial content drops, but something strange is missing that we just can't forget about. It's something integral for character building. In fact, it's even more important for world building too. Oaths, weapons, mantras, even attunements are things that we've seen in the past couple of years, but Deepwoken Races, we haven't seen anything new for a very long time. In fact, since the release of Deepwoken's Verse 2 all the way back in December 2022, like seriously, time has flown by, but that's when we got the last Deepwoken races. The Tyrian Bird Race and Chrysid Moth Race were bonus content alongside the new layer, but the player base keeps asking for more. So what's up guys, it's Punchy, and today I'm here with a small overview on some new Deepwoken race ideas, specifically about what could happen in the future. Over the years of Deepwoken, I've been creating my own concepts and character designs for things that I think fit in the game and could be used in future content. Today, I'll briefly discuss all of my design ideas ranging from race variants to new races entirely that I've talked about before. Since we just hit 100k subs, it's good to look back on what we've done in the past if we want to talk about the future. And if you like what I do, make sure to like and subscribe. Anyway, I've been clocking in thousands of hours in both Photoshop and Blender, crafting up some Deepwoken race ideas that I think are cool, and I want to show you everything that I've made. Just so we're clear, nothing here is confirmed for the game, but it could inspire Deepwoken drops in the future. So without further ado, let's get right into it, starting first with the race variants. The first concept set I ever made was racial variants for every Deepwoken race with a central theme about life weave. What if this hidden hive magic wasn't as glorious as it seemed? I mean, they aren't just growing trees for fun, they're uprooting everything else in the process. It's not really like a safe thing to do. Besides this, through leaks and teasers, it seems like Lifeweave is almost confirmed as a future attunement, so it's something I see possible in Deepwoken's future. Anyway, what would happen if Lifeweave was a little bit more destructive, giving life while also corrupting its vessel? That's the theme of the Rotweave Festival race variant set that I made in the past. For this project, I worked with Natoons, a current Deepwoken developer and concept illustrator, which was really fun to do. We've also worked together on other concepts, as you'll see soon enough, but let's begin. The Celtorn, a tragic offshoot of the Celtor, are plagued by the Rotweave, which causes sharp bamboo-like growths to painfully extrude from their bodies, paired up with unique leaf-like facial markings. Instead of being banished into the depths like the other Celtor, they remain fully aware of what's happening, but they just can't do anything. Once victims of the Great Drowning, their current problem doesn't stem from greed, but the cruel effects of the rot, leaving them longing for any escape. Moving forward, the Decomposed, a twisted variant of the Khan, are living beings overtaken by mushrooms and moss that control their actions, creating a terrifying loss of autonomy and self. Known for their strength and discipline, the idea of an uncontrollable Khan army corrupted by the rot is terrifying in itself, particularly given their role on Hive Island. Inspired by fungi-infected animals, their design reflects eerie organic growths, blending strength with decay. Next up, with the Etrostoma, it's a corrupted form of the Etrians, which are overtaken by rot-induced flowers inspired by Hell's Paradise and Demon Slayer. These flowers grow from their heads and eyes, forcing them to see the beauty in the world as they're brainwashed and blinded. Etrians, known for their xenophobic tendencies, the infection grotesquely corrects their bias in a dark, ironic twist. Moving on to the Camberfang, they're corrupted Canor, which embody a primary loyalty to nature, reverting to a feral state as the rot transforms them. Twigs and brush grow from their heads, complementing their prominent facial markings, symbolizing their shift from serving the authority to embracing the wild. It's a pretty crazy twist on their canine nature, which turns their once loyal instincts into a haunting allegiance to the natural world. They don't care about anything else but nature. Moving on to the Caprotten, once wise Capra are now corrupted by the rot, their faces hidden behind cracked, eerie masks. Their once shredded appearance is transformed transformed with no lower jaws and circle eyes, symbolizing their secretive nature and, I guess, inevitable corruption. These Capra already expected the rot, so they become protectors of their environment, fiercely defending it from any harm and accepting this. Moving on, the Vesperians, corrupted Vesperians, are overrun by vines and soul bloom flowers bursting from their beetle-like masks inspired by the fictional tree ants. Their tangled growth hides their face in shame, symbolizing guilt for causing the Lifeweave disaster. Additionally, the flowers silence them, forcing them to live with their irreversible transformation and the harm that they've somewhat caused. Next up, with the Grimrodden, corrupted Grimoires lose their sight and minds to the rot, relying entirely on their Neve granted navigation. Their undoubting blind faith in Neve, meant to protect the land, ironically leads to their downfall because this is all they can follow. With their compass-like navigation intact, they wander as tragic remnants of mindless devotion. Moving forward, the Ganodermid, corrupted Ganymede, grow blue caps that painfully force knowledge upon them, inspired by the Ganoderma mushroom. This relentless influx of understanding overwhelms their minds entirely, eventually frying their brains and leaving them in a state of terrifying over-awareness, drawing inspiration from Cosmos from Chainsaw Man or even Gojo's Infinite Void domain expansion. Their transformation turns intelligence and willpower into a haunting curse of forced enlightenment. Up next, the Adrodden, a corrupted Adrid variant, features mushrooms, missing eyes, and striking facial markings, symbolizing their loss of awareness due to the rot. Known as the Mountainous Race, which basically found their way into the Luminant, many Adrets joined the Authority, aligning themselves against Hive and found conflict. This allegiance makes them prime targets for the rot, transforming their loyalty into a tragic vulnerability. And the Feronian, corrupted Felinors, take inspiration from the goddess Feronia and a character in Hell's Paradise which transforms into a tree. Embracing their natural affinity with wildlife, the rot essentially rewards them by fusing them into wood, kinda turning the trope of cats stuck in trees into a dark reality. So despite their charismatic reputation, this transformation highlights their deep connection into nature in a unique and ironic way. Moving forward, the Blightthorn, a theoretical Lightborn variant, features thorn-like bodies and a crown of tangled roots and glowing thorns inspired by the Crown of Thorns themselves. This concept imagines Lightborns corrupted by the rot, not because they're infected, but they're mocking people below them. Though unobtainable in the lore, the Blightthorn represents a fun, hypothetical exploration of Lightborns falling from grace. And with that, those were the racial variants I made for the current race roster back in 2022. With Lifeweave somewhat possible in the future, I think that these could fit, especially for a Halloween Hallowtide event. Now, there's also a few more racial variants I do want to discuss, and this time they're based off rocks and minerals instead of nature itself. What would happen if something else fueled these races that wasn't really natural? The Cupra Capra, inspired by the Kuiper belt, features a single magnetic horn with a unique ringed pattern and orbiting debris, creating an otherworldly asteroid-like design. Its rock-like designs with patterns resembling the moon or asteroids complement a concerned expression reflecting the toll of a constant electromagnetic energy which prevents people from sleeping. Also, its bone jaw adds to that alien feel, while the backstory explains how a Capra cursed by a space rock is doomed into a sleepless existence, forever burdened by the magnetic field. Next, we have the Grimoire, which is a tragic figure, slowly turning into a rock as crystals sprout from its body. Its blindness, caused by an over-reliance on Neve's guidance, reflects the consequences of blind faith, with purple crystal eyes replacing its vision. The lore behind this variant involves people abusing song-infused crystals only to become infected and turning into these crystals themselves. And that's about it for the racial variants, but the main idea for the rot and rock concepts was that changing and gaining power never really comes without a cost, and Deepwoken kinda reflects that in its atmosphere. Now, let's take a look at the new races I decided to cook up. First off, with the Glackooga. I know it's a really weird name, but anyway, it's a small axolotl-inspired design for Deepwoken with features like frills, oversized eyes that evolve into several different color variants, including pink, blue, brown, and a rare black variant. The race was designed with a playful approach, incorporating traits like willpower and intelligence, reflecting their elusive nature, I guess, in real life. Their lore involves living in the Void Seas Islands with different colors representing different water environments like freshwater, saltwater, and marsh water. I also envisioned them with unique abilities like faster swimming or food regeneration in the water, but again, that's up in the air. Also, with those super new Void Sea outposts, this could be a perfect place to put them. Next up, with the Angerful, this is a ferret-inspired race designed with an angry, devious aesthetic reflecting the true nature of ferrets. The design process focused on creating unique features like squinted eyes with symbolic markings, neck fur, and avoiding typical animal traits like cat ears or whiskers, cause you know, it's kind of repetitive. This race also includes different color variants like cinnamon, masked, and chocolate, with lore suggesting that they're enraged by the authorities' presence. Also, the Angerfuls are envisioned as smaller, flexible creatures that could spawn in with cap artist or something, you know, that reflects how weird they are. I think this would make sense in a forest biome, but Deepwoken doesn't really have that. Moving forward onto another race, we have the Tortuncle, which is a tortoise-inspired race concept. This race was inspired by real-life tortoises with smaller eyes and curved mouths, which makes them stand apart. Their main accessory is a customizable shell with different tribal markings based on their variant, inspired by environments like cobblestone, desert, and volcanoes. The tortoise Tortuncles are peaceful, tradition-driven creatures that inhabit rocky areas and are not really prone to conflict, preferring a slow and steady lifestyle. For racial talent, they could have Turtle Shell, which does reduce backstab damage and grants immunity to Spine Cutter, but that might be kind of broken. And now, let's move on to the final race idea that I cooked up. The Fennova is a race inspired by the fennec fox, featuring large, movable ears and a spiritual third eye known as Nova's third eye. This helps them navigate desert environments when there could be dust or sand or something in their way. This special eye, symbolizing a connection to the mystical song, is animated and moves around, guiding the Fennova through sandstorms and harsh conditions. 3 variants of the Fennova were created, being the sand variant for desert environments, the snow variant for tundras, and the mint variant for forests. The design incorporates elements from Egyptian markings, mythology, and real-world fox adaptations, which I think could look really cool in Deepwoken. But finally, that brings an end to all of my race variants and race ideas, which I had a lot of fun making for the past few years. These were all for fun and practice, but I have pitched them to Deepwoken developers, so again, there's still hope. Let me know down below if I should keep doing these, because it's pretty fun to make. And thank you so much to all of my members who do support my channel directly, and you can join too if you like down below. As always, for even more exclusive content just like this, make sure to like and subscribe. We just hit 100k subs, and let's keep going. Thanks once again, it's punchin' time.